We're in the cane fields of Queensland's Gold Coast for this virtual bus tour stop, where growers are supplying cane to the Rocky Point mill. This is one of Australia's oldest cane growing areas. Grower Greg Zipf is a Smartcane BMP accredited farmer who's committed to growing cane sustainably. And he's diversifying his income, producing food-grade soybeans and organic sugarcane mulch for home gardeners. Greg's son Mitch is in the harvester, while his wife Denise follows with a bin-hauling tractor. Greg is at the controls of another tractor fitted with a hay rake.
We cut all of our cane green, the whole lot is harvested green. Then we rake the thrash up, we dry it and we bale it in a couple of different forms, in a small bale and a round bale or a larger square bale. And then we market that to quite a number of landscape yards in the southeast corner, as well as directly to the public.
As the harvester works the rows, a topper cuts the green tips off the cane plants. While the sticks are cut and billets fed through the rollers and onto an elevator, the leafy material is stripped away and it's vented through two extractors. The resulting layer of mulch helps replenish the soil with trace elements. And as every good home gardener knows, a covering of mulch suppresses weed growth and reduces erosion. When the hay rake sweeps through, two baskets mound the mulch into the inter-row spacing to be dried, and a generous layer of trash is raked back over the cane stools to give next year's crop a head start. This rake has been modified to suit a 1.8 metre dual-row controlled traffic farming system that meets industry best practice.
This is actually just a Lely rake that we use to actually rake up our cane mulch. It's actually been modified because the Lely rakes aren't actually wide enough, so we've actually cut them and widened them so they'll actually fit the row spacings here. And these baskets at the back, all these baskets predominantly do is when the hay's raked up, it actually throws it into the basket and that actually creates your row to actually be prepared for the baling.
These bales are for a rural supply store in the Lockyer Valley. Demand is high for home gardens, and it's also a useful emergency stock feed in times of drought.
It's about value adding the product that we currently have in the paddock, and it certainly assists in, when you look at cash flow, it certainly helps to generate, even though you have to invest in more equipment to do that, but it certainly gives you a greater cash flow. And the cash flow is usually fairly quick because if you bale it, you move it off the farm and you can retail it fairly quickly. You get a cash flow out of that, which is very handy during the course of a cane season.
As a Smartcane BMP accredited grower, Greg is focused on soil health and nutrition management, one of the core modules of the industry's own best practice accreditation system. This block is being fallowed at the end of a cane growing cycle. The surface layer is worked with a rotary hoe and crumble rolled in preparation for planting soybeans. Here, soybeans were recently harvested and the plants sprayed out, all ready to plant cane. Beans are planted in the summer months and they're harvested in the autumn.
Well, this is actually a small, just a soybean plant that's come up after we've harvested. And we'll notice that we've actually got some little nodules on the root system there, some nitrogen nodules, which is helpful for your soil to give some nitrogen, certainly at your plant crop phase of your cane once we plant back in.
Cane growers in the Rocky Point district are serious about their legume fallow crops, and they're supplying the food grade market in Toowoomba.
There was a group of farmers got together and said, okay, we'll buy the equipment together that we need to actually harvest the crop so that we can guarantee ourselves getting that crop off. So 10 farmers in the district actually formed a little cooperative, and within that cooperative we actually bought a header and chaser bin and silos and belt augers. And we still have that gear today, and we've just expanded on that equipment a little bit. We now have 2 headers. We've actually got more farmers across the cane growing district growing soybeans, putting in a rotational crop, putting in a legume that breaks that monoculture of cane, and growing better cane as plant crops and first, second and third returns for the result of it, because your soil, you're rebuilding that structure of your soil. So important.
On his farm, Greg ensures all fertiliser is applied subsurface using double disc openers.
The whole reason is to try and maintain that fertiliser that you've put in the ground. We don't get any losses. We do get rainfall events in Rocky Point, so it's all about retaining that fertiliser where you put it. So you put it subsoil, and hopefully that fertiliser stays where it's put.
Good drainage is also crucial to reducing nutrient loss. We check in with Greg in the days following a 180mm soaking over 3 days, and the drainage system has done its job.
The level of our drain has actually dropped considerably, probably a good 800 mil of drop in the drain where the water's been discharged. And that's purely and simply about making sure your drainage system works very well, because drainage plays a big part in an area where rainfall can become an issue.
Drainage management is another of the core modules of Smartcane BMP, and for very good reasons. When paddocks become waterlogged, nutrient can easily be lost into the environment and the crop growth is compromised. Greg laser levels blocks to ensure water gets away quickly. It's another best management practice approach to farming.
We can have quite heavy rainfall events, and we can have regular rainfall events. So you don't want on your blocks, you don't want water lying on top of the block. Anywhere where there's a hole in the middle of your block or on the end of the block, you will find you will not produce as much cane. So laser levelling resolves all of those issues in the actual block itself to make sure all the water is drained off correctly.
The best management practice approach means Greg keeps records of everything that happens on his farm, from applying nutrient and chemical to working blocks ready for planting.
When you bring BMP into your farming philosophy, everything that BMP requires you to do and record, you should have been doing it beforehand anyway. If you want to run a smooth, well-run operation, you should have been doing all those things beforehand previously. All BMP wants you to do is record and show what you've done, when you've done it, what time of day you did it. It's very little work extra to meet the requirements of BMP.
Smartcane BMP was set up to drive productivity and profitability for growers in Great Barrier Reef catchments with water quality considerations. Greg sees it as no different farming in Queensland's southeast corner, on the edge of another aquatic ecosystem where community attachment is strong.
We're right next door to Moreton Bay, and that's a huge playground for a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that actually live around Moreton Bay as well. And there's a lot of marine parks within Moreton Bay, and the record keeping that needs to be done for the guys in the north will eventually come down to the southern end of Queensland, and we will have to probably abide by the same sort of protocol. So that's why we're getting on board and getting used to actually working with the program sooner rather than later.